All right, everyone. So today I wanted to talk about an ongoing issue for many players in Raid Shadow Legends, and this actually seems to be something that is getting worse each week. And I wanted to talk about the arena tiers and the teams that people are facing in the arena tiers that they are at. Now, originally, this seemed to be a major issue for people in the really low tiers, like Bronze 1, Bronze 2, Bronze 3, so on and so forth. But lately, I've noticed that this has really been expanding to pretty much everyone, and lately, it seems like every week after the reset, it feels like teams in whatever tier that you're actually in are getting more and more difficult compared to what they used to be. And this is definitely something that even I have noticed in Gold 4 is originally I try to stay at this kind of, placement in terms of my points because this is where I used to find the most amount of teams to actually fight in order to farm out medals. When I stayed at around this many points, I was easily able to get all my matches done, no problems, never lost on speed or any of that. But now I notice that even when staying at the lowest amount of points in Gold 4, I'm starting to see a lot more difficult teams overall. Now, this is an average. I still will occasionally find easy teams or teams that don't have, the full number of champions, but it's definitely a big difference now compared to where it used to be a couple of weeks. And even though I'm refreshing every 15 minutes, this seems to be something that is ongoing. And I wanted to actually share with you guys a couple of screenshots here of teams that have been posted on Reddit, Discord, and other social media, just to give you guys a little bit of perspective here, because especially those of you guys who've been playing the game for a really long time, if you went through and you already progressed through the really low placements a long time ago, this is something that you might not really experience that much, or maybe you don't really think it's a big issue. But now that you still have to actually complete or at least pass through these tiers in order to complete progress missions, this is a really big problem for newer players that are coming into the game, realizing that it's going to be a major struggle in order to get past these tiers in order to complete their actual missions. So this first image here is actually a set of teams coming from Bronze 2. Now, again, if you are an experienced veteran player, you might look at these teams and be like, that doesn't look too bad. I could probably beat those teams. But you have to keep in mind that this is Bronze 2, right? These are brand new players to the game. This is probably the point in the game where you don't even have any champions at 6-star, probably not even a whole lot of champions at 5-star. Most players probably don't have a single legendary, very few epics, if any, at this point. I mean, you got to understand the kind of champions that most people at this point in the game are working with. And because you actually have to go past these tiers for your progress missions, when you're facing a bunch of teams like this in Bronze 2, that's a really big problem. So that's the first screenshot. This next one here is a single team in Bronze 3, and you can see, look at that, 3 legendary champions and one of the best epics, team power of 120,000, but you can see that they've already got that Arbiter there in the actual lead. So this is just an insane matchup. This is a team that you would probably find to be like the average team in Gold 3 or Gold 4, but you're seeing this kind of stuff in the Bronze tiers at this point. So here is a set of teams coming from Bronze 3. You can see that, you've got a bunch of champions that are level 60. In Bronze 3, you're starting to actually see teams. Out of this screenshot, you can see that 2 out of those 4 teams are all 4 champions already maxed out at level 60. And at this point in the game, most people aren't even going to have a single champion at level 60. So it's really difficult. I wish I knew the exact order in the progress missions of like when the missions were to get a champion to level 60 versus when the missions were in order to get to certain points of the arena. Because if you actually went back through the progress missions and you kind of saw where this stuff was laid out, it really wouldn't make a lot of sense for these teams to be as difficult as they are for the missions that you actually need to complete. And then this last one right here is coming a set of teams in Silver 1. And just that difference there between Bronze and Silver, I mean, look at that. You've got all 4 teams there with fully maxed out level 60 champions. All 4 teams. And these are also the easiest teams in this guy's lineup, because you can tell based off of the amount of points that they're going to give him for his victory, right? Because as you go further down in the list, just so you guys can see my teams here as an example, you end up getting more points, right? So that's one way that you can actually tell here. And, for seeing these kinds of teams in Silver 1, I mean, it really is shocking, and it's kind of hard to believe any new players coming into the game right now are really going to be able to get through their progress missions. Look at that. That second team there has 3 legendary champions. That first team has Sir Nicholas, Miscreated Monster, which is, Miscreated Monster is arguably legendary quality. He's not a legendary himself, but he's one of the, if not the best epics. Stagnite, an absolutely phenomenal champion. I mean, this is just absolute insanity. And I wanted to kind of go through here a few things that Plarium could actually do in order to resolve this issue, because this is one of those things where, it's not really in Plarium's best interest to keep the game this way either, because they're not really making any money by scaring away their new players. In fact, this is the exact opposite of probably what they want. A lot of people know by now that Plarium, they really depend on those new players. And if new players feel like they can't even get through their progress missions because they cannot compete at all in even bronze and silver arena, then they're probably just not going to play the game anymore, right? So this is something that they really need to address, not only for the player's sake, but also for the company's sake. So I have a few suggestions here. The first one is, the possibility, I know a lot of these issues are probably coming up from the massive change that they've made to inactive players and inactive accounts, right? I believe now they end up getting bumped down, or maybe they get completely taken off of all arena listings. I don't know exactly what they do, but that could very well be one of the major reasons why things seem to be getting a lot more difficult. So, this is something that they do in a lot of games besides Raid Shadow Legends in the lower tiers, and that is to just add in fake teams of bad champions. Like, especially in bronze, you should not be seeing teams, like the ones that we see right here in bronze tier arena. Like, that's just absolute insanity, and you're going to scare people away. So, add in fake teams of maybe champions that are at the absolute highest, level 40, level 50, rares, not even epics, I would say. Like, maybe don't even have too many epics in these so-called fake teams until you get to silver, and then you shouldn't even see legendaries until gold, or at least very late silver. Like, this is one of the things that a lot of games do, because they know that if they rely only on teams of active players, eventually the system is kind of going to settle down to the way that we have it right here, and it's going to completely kill your new player base, because they're not going to be able to progress through the game, and they're just going to quit, and it just ends up being bad for everyone. So of course they would have to tweak it in a way for it to really make sense, but I know this is something that a lot of other games do. Now, the other thing that they could do is quite simply go back through and actually change the requirements for the missions. This is something that they could do, but I could definitely see this being a difficult change, considering that, so many people have already completed these missions. I don't know how realistic that's going to be for Plarium to do. They could remove the requirements. They could all change them in a way so that you don't actually have to get through the placements in order to, get your progress missions completed, but maybe just have it be, fight this many people in the arena. And then you'll get credit towards it, right? Or make it in a way so that you don't have to rely on beating these ridiculous teams in bronze and low tier silver, right? So that's the second one. The third one is they could make it so that up until you get a certain point, this is another change that I'm kind of stealing here, an idea from another game, is they could have it so that up until a certain point, if you lose in the arena, you don't actually lose points. Like, let's just say in bronze and silver, you still win points if you win, but then if you lose, you don't actually lose any points. So, like, what if they had it so that in bronze, if you won, you still won your points, but if you lost 0 points. Then in silver, if you won, you still won your points, but if you lost, you only lost, say, half of your points, right? Or you made it so that it still favors you to where if you're winning, even if it's a little bit less than 50% of your matches, because you're just earning so many points per win compared to the amount that you're losing, you're still going to eventually be able to progress through it, right? And then maybe not until you get to the gold tier placements, have that be the point now where you have it to the system that it is, to where, you win points if you win, but if you lose, then you lose, roughly the same number of points. So you have to kind of break that threshold of approximately 50% or so wins. But you have to even get more than that 50%, because this next change here has to do with the decay system that they actually use. And they could maybe change it so that it's not as difficult and as strict when you end up getting to those higher tier placements. Because right now at the weekly reset, so in 4 days and 1 hour, let's just say if I were at, let's just use silver 4 as an example. If I were at, 1,999 points, if I was 1 point away from gold 1, then if I reset and I didn't get that 1 point, I would lose 199 points and bump back all the way to the beginning of silver 4. So that's a pretty harsh penalty, right? Whereas if I ended up getting 1 or 2 points and I just barely broke through that 2,000 threshold, then I only lose those 1 or 2 points because you get reset back to the beginning of whatever tier that you're in. And this might not seem like a really big deal, but if you are just barely squeaking in a, a decent win rate, then, it might be a grind for you all week long just to get 100 points or just to get 150 points or whatever it might be. And then to have it all go to waste by rolling back during the reset, that's just going to make your progression even more difficult right there. So that's another thing that they could do. And my last suggestion here, this is a long-awaited one, a long-needed one, and I think one that a lot of people probably want and have been asking for a while, and that is to expand Platinum Arena. Right now, it only holds 300 slots, and I'm sorry to say there's way more than 300 whales in this game. Like, way more. And expanding the number of Platinum slots here, if they made it similar to the Tag Team Arena, like, if we go to the Tag Team Arena placements and we actually see it, Tag Team Arena, all of Tag Team Arena actually works similar to Bronze. It all has limited slots except for the very first one, which is Bronze 1, which is kind of where everyone ends up if they don't participate, right? But you could see that the Gold 4 in Tag Team Arena has 1,250 slots, right? So, that's kind of the point right there. I think that's the minimum number of slots that we should see in Platinum Arena. I would like to see it expanded to even more, like 2,000 or 3,000 would probably seem to be the most fair, but 300 is clearly not enough, and this just causes a major problem, not only in Gold, but it ends up kind of radiating outwards to be a major problem in other areas of the arena. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done here, and I feel like if they don't end up tackling this issue somewhat over the next few weeks, it's just going to get worse. And like I said, this is something that is going to really be a big problem, not only for the players, but for Plarium and Raid Shadow Legends as a business. They're going to be scaring away their new players, and that is a really bad thing to do, especially considering how much they rely on their new players for this game. So I kind of wanted to talk about this. This is something that I see a lot of comments about, a lot of people talk about in the Discord. I wanted to kind of give my thoughts on it and now open up the discussion to you guys. So what do you guys think about all this? What do you guys think about some or all of my proposed changes here? And kind of, where are you at with the arena or your progress missions? What's kind of your, where are you really at with this whole situation? Because this is definitely one of the bigger issues that we've been seeing in Raid Shadow Legends lately. But with that all being said, that's going to end up being it for the video for today. So I hope that you guys enjoyed, and if you did and you want more videos like this in the future, consider subscribing to the channel. Feel free to leave a quick like as well. It means more than you can imagine. So thank you to all of you who spend the quarter of a second or so to quickly press a button to help me out. So thank you everyone. And more Raid Shadow Legends videos, guides, tutorials, and all that fun stuff should be popping up on the screen right about now, or in the suggested videos to right below. Feel free to check them out. But if not, until next time, take care everyone. This is Salt of the Salty Guild signing out.